Namaste, viewers, and welcome to Book Talk with Mr. Vishwanath Aluri. And he's got a new book. It's called The Enlightened Manager, A Transformative Approach to Work and Life. Thank you, Vishji, for joining us. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to our show. And, just to tell our viewers a little bit about you, and you can add to that. But as we go back 4 decades. You had started Medinova. It was a wonderful time when Dr. Reddy's, Biocon, all these things were starting up. And then you went on as a serial entrepreneur. You started many companies. And the last one was very successful. IMI Mobile sold to Cisco, I think, for over $750 million. Congratulations on your achievements and on your book. So first question is, how did you become an author?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Makarand, for having me on the show. It's a great pleasure to be speaking to you. Yeah, I don't know what I should talk first. You asked me about my background. I should also say that I also happen to be listed as a producer of a documentary. He's an accidental producer, not a real producer. Accidental producer of a documentary of a life of an American who became a Tibetan Buddhist in India. He's been a friend of mine. That is one thing. So there's another film, a Tibetan story in Delhi. Masnu Katela is a colony, I think, in Delhi, where some Tibetans live there. It's a story of their past life. Yes. So
that's wonderful. I will call you another time to talk about the films, which I must confess I still have not seen. But there is another avatar of yours, which is very precious in my view, talking about past lives and avatars, which is as the secretary of the Krishnamurti Foundation of India. But my question is, how did you become an author? You said you're an accidental filmmaker. Are you also an accidental author?
Exactly, that's the correct description. I wanted to say that I'm an accidental author. You see, all this happening because of my deep interest in Krishnamurti. He is making me turning me into accidental author, accidental producer, accidental this and that. So, out of his interest, I want to do something to see that my only concern is to see that Krishnaji is not lost to the world. That's why this book is written, to share the fascination of living with other my colleagues, my fellow human beings, in the light of Krishnamurti teachings. That's why this book is written.
That's wonderful. So I'm going to ask you a little more about the book, but also tell us a little bit about Harry Ayres, if I'm pronouncing his name properly, your co-author. Is he also Krishnamurti, you might say, we don't call it devotee or follower, but somebody deeply interested in the teachings? I know that he worked with Financial Times. He was an important journalist.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it. Before that, I must say, we don't use the word followers, correct actually, but I got a kind of different word, Krishnamurti Kanyusanti.
Oh,
Krishnamurti.
wow. Yeah, but that's not a word that many people know. You know, cognoscenti, etc., aficionado. These are fascinating words. So, best to say those interested in the teachings. But that's up to you. So, tell us a little about him and
I mean well informed of Krishnaji teachings. That's what I meant.
exactly. But I just mean it's not a.
There is interest in Krishnaji teaching, no doubt about that. Once he was writing a slow lane column in Financial Times Weekend. Once he wrote an article on Krishnamurti, called it Anti-Guru. Anti-Guru, there's a big feature in his slow lane column, where he happened to mention that he had happened to visit Rishi Valley, the most beautiful place in the world, he said.
Oh.
From that on, he was marked by all of us.
Wow.
And also, other common interest between me and Harry Ayres is Roger Federer. We play tennis both, and we got both common interest.
So a Krishnamurti cognoscenti as well as a Roger Federer cognoscenti. So there you are.
Roger Federer is watching only. We cognoscent the word, he's just informed, but here he is watching the game.
Yes. So I have read this book in the draft forms in 2 or 3 versions, and congratulations. It's a very unusual book. So what is an enlightened manager? In fact, sometimes I think it's a contradiction in terms.
No, it's a contradiction. I see this name is given as per when many people come in the play. I read the book. Author alone doesn't have all the say in choosing the title of the book. In the end, publishers also have a role to play. We have chosen an enlightened manager, knowing fully well I'm taking a risk. But taking a risk is part of entrepreneurship. I have taken the recourse to Collins English Dictionary, where it talks of well-informed, factual, tolerant of critical inputs, and rational thought, and that kind of thing is there in the book. So I said, I'm only confining myself to that meaning. I don't want to use the word in the esoteric sense. The esoteric quarters, people will ban you. There is a saying in Zen Buddhism: if you see a Buddha, you kill him. He says, I don't believe it's Zen's line, but I don't believe it is Zen's line, but they attribute to that. So like that, I don't want to use the word, but I'm taking a big risk. I know I'm straying into dangerous territory, but I've given the name deliberately, consciously, because if I don't, that it's got some meaning. It awakens a person. One of my friends remarked immediately when he said Enlightened Manager, what do you think? Do you mean I'm dumb? Maybe you look at it. Maybe you look at yourself.
Yes. No, I completely agree. I think that, suppose you had said the conscious manager, everybody gets it. But once you're enlightened, this is our impression, which is probably wrong. Once you're enlightened, oh, you leave the world, you become like the Buddha, whatever. But I would think, and you can correct me, that we actually need people who are deeply conscious, deeply compassionate, caring, who are also managers, who are also leaders, you see, who are also running corporations. So I'm going to talk to you about some of those secrets. But tell me how you came to write the book, because I'm a writer myself. So that's always fascinating to me. What is the process by which you said, okay, I'm going to write this book? How did that happen?
I tell you, first of all, I must tell my first encounter with K. Then subsequently what happened to me, then I must share that. I must start from there. First time I encountered Krishnamurti was in 1995 January in Rishi Valley Study Center. I just simply went there. I'm not having any exposure to any kind of scriptures or this kind of I have no religion whatsoever. I come from a communist influenced village. So they stay away from all these gurus and all this. They're first fellows to stay away. They don't like all this caste and all that. So, but however, I am from the neighboring district. However, I had one question was going in my mind. By the time I met K, they encountered K. The question was, what is this life about? Is it all the only daily grind or something beyond it? In Hindi they use the word marpit. Marpit. Is the marpit or something is there in this? Something beyond it? That question was going in my mind. Then I had, I started reading Will Durant's book called Story of Philosophy. The Story of Philosophy was very interesting for me. I was reading that book almost 10 times, 15 times. Now noting down some lines some of the philosophers said, very interesting for me. They were very interesting. So that was the state of mind when I encountered K. Of course, there was also a tragedy in the family 5-6 years back. That's a different matter. Maybe that's also prompted me, but I don't know. But I can't comment on that. But however, it is very intriguing, very, very interesting for me. Since I come from a neighboring district of Anantapur, which is neighboring district of Chittoor district, Madanapalli, is 200 kilometers from my village. I went there. I was always wondering, what is the Krishnamurti about? What is he talking? What is he about? I don't know. I have no clue about it. I went there. I went to study center. There were videos, audios, TV, VCR, all that were there. Then I picked up one video titled, Where Knowledge and Silence Go Together. Where Knowledge and Silence Go Together. The title was very intriguing. I just switched on. I just immediately attempted to play that video. I heard him. That was a dialogue between Alan Anderson, professor of religious studies in San Diego, Southern California. He's a professor of religious studies in that university, University of San Diego, whatever you call it. He was having a conversation with Krishnamurti for 1 hour. It was like a bolt out of the blue to me. Why it was bolt out of the blue was, see, we normally, human beings think subjective matters, difficult to comment, you leave it, subjective, he is subjective. No, his subjective matter is dealing very objectively, number one. For 1 hour he spoke, for 1 hour he is a human being. He didn't utter one word which makes no sense. Every word was a pure sense. My God, I thought, how can I can't speak for 1 hour. For 10 minutes if I speak, I may utter a word which I regret. Why I use that word. But here is one man who spoke complete sense for 1 hour in subjective matters in objective fashion. Then he was wearing a very nice, elegant blue shirt. He was not wearing any robes. Robes means I will go away. So in the book also I have written robes and rosaries, beards and turbans. Be careful. Be careful. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying be careful. Because human beings are conditioned to receive only that kind of people as gurus. No, Krishnamurti is beyond all that. That was like a light, bolt out of the blue. However much Krishnaji says or Buddha says, be a light unto yourself. But they are like lightning. Lightning from where you can take some light, borrow some light and use it. Lightning, but the problem is, the lightning is, you see, when the lightning strikes, there is a dark clouds, beautiful, you can see the beautiful dark clouds when the lightning strikes. But human beings blink. When they blink, they miss the beauty of the dark clouds. So I want to share that not only the beauty of dark clouds, it can also throw the light inside your life, inside you. It can throw some light on that. I thought that's what we should share with human beings. So that's why I have written this book. It's very, very fascinating for me. And also I was involved in digitization of all his videos. You know, there are 600, 700 videos of Krishnamurti, which are in the earlier version, they were taped in VHS, Betacam and all the tapes. The quality may deteriorate over a period of time. So we have to digitize. When I came to know...
your work, once you've taken over, as it were, as Secretary KFI has been astonishing, I know, since I've visited the centers, all the efforts to digitize, modernize, make the literature easily available through apps, social media. So that's a different topic, as it were. But to sort of come back to the book, you said you went there to Madanapalli, to the beautiful Rishi Valley campus in 1995. You listened to the video, and it was like a bolt, as you said, of the blue, out of the blue, and something happened to you. But from there, how did you actually come up with this book? There must have been a process.
I tell you, see what happened. No, then I started reading collected works of Krishnamurti. Collected works are like doing PhD in Krishnamurti. He always talked of that. He said, "Sir, you spent years doing PhD of medicine, all that. Why don't you spend some time to read, to understand what life is? You can spend some time, some years." So I was reading the entire collected works. Then it struck to me, I should share all this with people. How do I share? Sharing with people means writing a book. But I am not a writer. So I will tell what I want to communicate. I can find a nice writer. I can tell him, I can give him all the materials. And then I want English writer, not just, that was another condition I had in mind.
Not people like me.
No, I had not come across you at that time. It's not like that. You see, language, Samdang Rinpoche, who was a professor of, he's a Tibetan monk, you know that, Samdang Rinpoche. He was the trustee.
Yes. He's the head of the Tibetan parliament in exile. And Sarnath, he was the vice chancellor, correct?
He was the prime minister of Tibet in exile. He told me once, Vishwanath, when we translate books of Buddha into Tibetan, we have to use the Tibetan only. He said that if you want to write English, you have to use Englishman only. He said he concurred with my view. So anyway, that was an idea. I went through that. Then I had collected a lot of material. Then I started collecting a lot of material which has relevance to management. There's a quote, for instance, in the book which is relevant to any management. Is a director. One of the quote he says, "One may talk endlessly, piling words upon words. Out of all this verbal confusion, if there is one clear action that is worth 10,000 words, that is good for any board of directors room." One of my friends, who is the director on the board of a big company, he said, "Sir, I got some independent directors. They go on talking. I'm not able to stop them. Please give me this quote. I will put in the frame and put in the boardroom," he said. You can put in the frame. We can frame it and put in the boardroom. That is so relevant for any social gathering or any public meeting or any corporate meeting or any meeting. I thought, so I collected all the material. Then I started writing. I observed everything I looked at, whole life became perspective through Krishnamurti lens. Krishnamurti is talking absolute truth. According to me, he's not another philosopher, he's not another view. It is the only view according to me. So he went on talking about a perspective. He helped me to get a perspective. When I watched Federer, I was watching his state of mind. State of mind is the real you, not the outer things. So when Krishnamurti was shown the pyramids or something like that in Egypt, his immediate comment was, with what state of mind they would have made it, he said. Oh my God, I thought. So it's not materialistic, it's not about materialistic thing. So he knows how to touch the real ground. Suppose Vasanta Vihar is in Chennai, he renovated, you know that. So with what state of mind he has done is important, not just how beautiful it is. That is the materialistic thing. It's all right. But many people miss the point. So when I saw Roger Federer matches, I was all the time examining what he says about that. In the press there is a press conference. At the end of the match, Grand Slam match, every day there is a press conference in the press conference room, not
Yes.
on court.
Yes.
Press conference room where he is questioned this and that. Then he says what he thinks of, what he thought of that. From that he can make out his state of mind also. One of the matches I have written in the book also. One of the matches he played within 1 hour he dismissed his opponent. 1 hour, 58 minutes. And the press fellow said, "That's a quick work for you, good exercise for you." In 1 hour, 58 minutes, he said. He said, no, be fair to Phil, he said. Phil Kolschreiber was the opponent. Be fair to him, he played well. Today, he did not win, that's all right. So don't be unfair to him. He always had other feeling for that. Always he had his family next to him. Because I always say that work-life balance in the book, health, family, and then work. That is the order in which you have to keep. It's not a prescription, that is a natural order. You can see for yourself. First the health, then the family, then the work. Unless you do well in health, you can't do well in family. Unless you do well both these counts, you can't do well in the work. So like that, I kept my own things and went on to write a book. And I collected a lot of material. I managed to convince Harry. Then I supplied the material. We had a number of meetings, Coffee Darshan, many places we went to a good coffee in Italy, everywhere. So that's how the book got written.
That's wonderful. So in the next episode, we will dig deeper into the book. But as you rightly said, we should focus on our own state of mind when we are talking about this book, because that is the essence, in a way, of an authentic life as well as an enlightened manager. So we will see you soon. Viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to this video. Thank you, Vishwanath ji, for joining us. And we will see you soon in the next episode. Namaste.
Thank you, Makaran.